Hello and welcome to another edition of Safe Communities. My name is Plymouth County Sheriff Joe McDonald, and joining me today is our Director of the Farm, Mr. Ted DeCristofaro. Ted, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sheriff.
And we are here to speak about something that is very near and dear to my heart, but I think actually is your heart, Ted, the Plymouth County Farm, something that you personify. You know, you really have put your heart and soul into that farm, and people notice that, myself included.
Thank you.
The county farm is 90 acres. It's adjacent to where the old jail used to be on Obery Street here in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Historically, you know, we'll talk a little bit about it. I remember the farm growing up as a child. It's been there for many, many years, long before I arrived here or before Ted arrived here. And it was originally conceived as something to, not so much an inmate program, but a way that the inmates would work to feed themselves so that they wouldn't be a burden to the law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. And over the years it's evolved, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But some of the, you know, we were laughing before the show started. One of the things that I can remember, even as a child, driving by as we went down or up Route 3, when you would look out the window, you would see the rolling hills of the Plymouth County Farm, and you would see the cattle serenely grazing in the pastures, and it was such an idyllic view. And then I remember being admonished by my mother and father that if I didn't behave myself, that's where I would end up on the county farm. And I'm sure you received the same admonition. Yeah. But thank you, Ted, for joining us. And you know, as I said, there's nobody that knows more about the farm than you do. And you know, we appreciate you coming. And I'm sure that a lot of the viewers are curious about that. You know, could we talk a little bit about, you know, historically how the farm served the inmates and you know, what it was used for?
Well, actually, I was looking up the history when I found out I was going to be on this. I guess it started in 1910. I was surprised it was that far back.
Yeah.
And it was, I guess it was an old farm, and they took it over. And the sheriff, I think he used 150 acres for the jail itself, and there was 125 acres left for the farm, which was pretty unique. It was the first one, you know, in this area. And back then, like you said, it was all for food for the jail. They supplied the food for the jail. I was looking at some old menus in the archives. And it was amazing what they did with all the food. Plus, on the menu was lobster. The old farm superintendent used to tell me that back in the day, after a storm, they'd go down to the Plymouth Beach and they'd break up all the clams, the lobsters, and that's what they served for dinner too.
Wow.
I guess the farm's coming around a lot.
Yeah.
But when I first started, we had there was 196 acres that they used. And it was all the food that was produced was brought into the jail for the inmates and the officers. It was nice in the summertime. I remember we used to pick lettuce, carrots, tomatoes, and they had a salad bar in the old jail for the officers.
Wow.
It was all fresh produce, you know, just picked that morning. That was pretty neat. And then we had a dairy herd, and all that milk, you know, was sent out to be pasteurized and then brought back to the jail, and that was utilized also for the food.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's important that we also, so the viewers understand that you're bringing a lot of expertise and institutional memory to this. How long have you been working for the sheriff's office?
July, start 27 years.
Yeah, so you've been there. I've been there 9 years, and I still feel like I've just got there. But you know, you've been there a long, long time, and you know, you've seen things evolve over time. You've seen the good times, which, you know, we talked about, and we've seen some of the leaner times and the bad times on the farm. We'll talk about that as well. But those vegetables, I can just imagine how wonderful that must have been, you know, for the staff, the inmates, and really for the taxpayers, because that was one less thing that they had to fund, and the inmates themselves. Now, at that time, it was all inmate labor that...
It was all inmate labor. We had, when I started, we used to bring out probably 40 to 45 inmates
Wow.
a day. There was no, now we have, they're all levels, and everybody works on the farm as a level 4. Back in the day, there were no levels.
Yeah.
If they were qualified to come out, they just came out.
Able-bodied, they came out.
Able-bodied, and they could lift and dig.
Yeah.
They were coming out.
And level 4, just so our viewers understand, that is the lowest level of an offender. That's someone who has no violence in their criminal history. That's someone who's no sex offenders are out there. These are all individuals who are not flight risks. They are the least likely to cause any problems over there, and they're very well supervised. How many corrections officers do you have over there?
We have myself, and then there's 2 captains and 4 corrections officers.
Okay, and you've even got some civilian employees over there as well?
Yeah, we have a couple. We have they work in the cash booth at the greenhouse,
helping with the retail sales.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I know when I first came into office 9 years ago, one of the things that distressed me was the fact that the farm was shuttered, essentially closed, and slated for development, sale and development. And I remember, and I'm eternally grateful to you for your assistance in getting that back up and running. Can you tell the viewers what you went through?
Well, it was a sad day. I got a call from the sheriff to come over to see him, and he said, "You have 10 days to close down the farm." I was shocked. I mean, I didn't even know it was coming. Get rid of all the cows, get rid of all the animals. At one point, he wanted to get rid of the greenhouse and that, but we had already had plants going, so we kept that. But that was one sad day, because all the officers, we kept one officer out. The other officers went back into work back inside the jail, and it was a sad day.
Yeah, I can tell as you tell the story. But when I came in, I remember inquiring as to the status of the farm, and seeing your and the officers' distress, and the joy at which you expressed when I expressed interest in, I thought it was a valuable program, and I still do. Not so much because we're raising food for the inmates, we don't do that anymore, but as a rehabilitation program and a community resource, it's so important, I think. So when I tasked you guys, and you in particular, to bring this back to life, I know I wouldn't have to ask you twice. And what you've done, and I'll tell you honestly, you and the guys over there, has exceeded my wildest dreams. I have been so proud of everything you guys have done over there.
Yeah, thank you.
So, tell the viewers some of the things that you did.
Well, to start off, it was so, when you decided to run for sheriff and you took a tour of the farm, I was elated, because you asked a million questions. I'll never forget that. A million questions about the farm. What happened to this? What can we do with this? Geez, I'd love to see this start up. I mean, you elevated everybody's, what the word is, but we were excited.
Yeah.
When you took office, we had 1 cow, and that was an old Guernsey that we had. I just didn't have the heart to give away when we gave the rest of the cows away. It was a little emaciated, but we fed it and kept it going.
Yeah.
And then when you came aboard, the first thing you did was with the mounted unit. We started with the horses.
Yeah.
We started with Worcester County for some Black Angus. So we started raising the Black Angus, and we did well.
Yeah.
The greenhouses expanded. When you first came aboard, we had 1 greenhouse built. And I remember you coming over one day, and you're looking at it, and all I said was, "Geez, I'd love to build another greenhouse." Do it. I said, okay. Well, now we have, since that day, I think we've added 5 greenhouses.
Yeah, that's fair. And I got to give you guys credit. The way that you have operated the farm is so professional, and clearly it's not something that you consider as work. It's a labor of love, and I share that with you. It really was important to me, and I couldn't have had it in better hands, I have to say. Just the way that you were able to go out there and literally horse trade with other sheriff's offices to keep it up and running. And as we sit here today, I'm sad to say, but proud to say, that we're the last county farm in Massachusetts, which is, it's very sad on the one hand, but it's one of those things. If people in the audience have not been to the Plymouth County Farm to visit Ted and the guys down there, it's an amazing take. It's free. I mean, it's an inmate rehabilitation program first and foremost, and I'll ask you to talk about that. But it's also a community resource. It's we set out to make restore the farm, but what you've done is created a destination for families. Not just inmates. It's really something that belongs to everybody. But how was it a program, an inmate program, so people...
I was happy when the state called. They were putting together a mass Agri tour directory, and they asked us to be in it. That was a big step for us.
Yeah, you put us on the map.
That was put us on
Literally,
the map.
yeah.
That's good. But as far as the rehabilitation program part of it, we get inmates from all fields. We get plumbers, electricians. We don't get farmers. As a rule, I've never had somebody in the farm that worked in greenhouses. So we try to utilize, the inmates with their field that they worked in on the outside. But they're always amazed when they start farming. They didn't realize what went into growing corn or growing pumpkins. And now that they do it, it's just amazing to me. But we were talking this morning, and I said that to me, it's always amazing that these guys, even though they're electricians or whatever, they haven't grown anything. So for them to put a seed in the ground or a plug and grow it, and having people come in and just saying, "Oh my God, how beautiful these plants are!" It's great for them.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they'll get out, and occasionally I'll get a phone call. Geez, I have this really shady area, and I wasn't sure what to put in it. I love the coleus we grew, but is there something else that warms my heart?
Yeah, I can imagine it. And the thing that you teach over there, frequently I'm confronted with that question. You're not raising or teaching people to be farmers, right? Well, no, that's not necessarily what we're doing there. What we're teaching is a work ethic, and teaching people how to deal with the public, and the value of seeing something that you, with your own hands, nurture, cultivate, and grow into something. And what a feeling of satisfaction that many of these inmates have never experienced before. And that's thanks to you and the guys over on the farm.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the guys that work on the farm. They're dedicated employees. That they love what they do, and it shows.
Yeah, and I think the inmates, as they work over there, you're exposing them to something that they may never have seen short of coming to the farm, which is a great thing. We've got the plants, but this is also true with the animals. There's a lot of animals over there as well. And can you talk about the animals a bit?
Well, it's so, if anybody knows about the farm, they always talk about Mary.
Mary the cow?
Mary the cow. We had a cow born, I think it's almost 8 years ago, born on Christmas Eve, and the mother rejected it. I had a lieutenant working, and Lieutenant Thurston, who loved animals, and so we didn't know what to do with this cow. Sometimes nature takes its course. Well, I came in Christmas Day to check everything, make sure everything was good, and I saw Lieutenant Thurston's car parked. I drove all around the farm looking for him. I couldn't find him. Finally, I went in the horse barn, and I'm looking in one of the stalls, and I hear a little So I look, and there's David Thurston underneath the hay, underneath the quilt, keeping the calf warm.
Wow.
He went out and we bought, you can buy a formula to make milk. So he was feeding the cow, and he kept it warm. And now she's the farm mascot.
And people, as I travel the communities, people will ask me, "How is Mary? How is Mary?"
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, we put on the sign, Mary will be coming up. We put Mary down on the farm during the winter.
Yeah.
But it comes early spring. I get so many phone calls. We finally put on the sign, Mary will be arriving, and we put the date. And they come in droves to see Mary.
Yeah. She's more recognizable than either of us.
Pretty much. Well, she's on all the T-shirts.
Yeah. Which is nice, and I think that lends to the family atmosphere that you've created down there, which again is way beyond anything I had ever expected. The petting zoo that you've got out front, and just the good that goes on there. You don't think about that at a correctional facility, but there's so much good. One of the things I wanted to mention was that the Thoroughbred Program that we have, you know, and I'll ask you to talk a little bit about that. You know, the grant that came from the Fields Family Foundation and with Suffolk Downs, all of the racehorses that are racing up at Suffolk Downs, historically, when their racing career ends at the age of 3 or 4, which is very young for a horse, those horses would be euthanized. They would be killed. And with that grant money, what we've been able to do over there, and what Ted has done, is created a place where these racehorses, rather than being euthanized, they come and they live out their lives over on the farm. People love to come and watch them, see them run in the field. People love to just see that as they look out the window. People in the courthouse, and everything is really wonderful with that. And then sometimes those horses are actually available for adoption. Can you speak to that program at all, Ted?
Yeah, we've. I think originally we started with 5 or 6. We're up to I think maybe 11 now, but we've lost 3 or 4 because people will come and they'll adopt a horse. Not to ride or just to keep their other horses company.
Yeah.
If they have another horse and they just want a company horse, this is what they pick up. But the thoroughbreds are funny. When we first get them, they're race horses, so they've never been really let loose. What a sight. I'm from Quincy, originally Quincy Point, and to see these horses get out of that trailer and just all of a sudden they realize they're free. And they have 2.5 acres that they can run around, and that's what, I'm surprised they just don't drop. But what a beautiful sight.
Yeah,
it's like freedom, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's inspirational, you know, not just to the staff or to the public that comes, but I don't think that that's lost on our inmates as they see this as well.
We have, usually, as a rule, I put 2 inmates up to work with the thoroughbreds, and it's probably one of the better positions that one of the inmates want out there.
Yeah.
They enjoy it. They take care of them. I go up there in the morning and, you know, they're brushing the horses down, they're cleaning the hoofs. They take care of them.
Yeah, and I think they value the fact that by their presence and their work with these thoroughbreds, they've saved the life of another being, you know, the horse. And anyone that's ever looked into the eyes of a horse, you know, knows that animal has a soul. There's no question.
And those horses, I think after about a month, they almost come up to you and say thank you.
Yeah.
I know it sounds corny, but it does. That's what they do. You walk up to the fence, they could be the other side of the pasture, they see you by the fence, they'll come running up, and it is not for food, just to get petted.
Yeah. Yeah,
then they didn't have that.
It's a great program, and I'll share this with the viewers, and I hope I've shared it with you. Actually, you know, we talked about it at the meeting, but the sheriff out in Berkshire County has asked me about this program. He wants to start a similar program, which I think is fantastic.
That's great.
You know, it's a great inmate rehabilitation program. You know, we're saving the lives of those wonderful horses, and in some instances, seeing them go to good homes. That's a tremendous, tremendous program, and I really enjoy looking at it. But just thinking about it it makes me happy, and I'm glad to know that you guys value that as much or more than I do.
You know, it's funny too, because sometimes you get an inmate that might be a little rough, tough. You know, he come out in the farm and he's going to take over, but they fall in love with the animals. I don't know what it is about the animals, but it's so soothing to these guys. Yeah. And I don't understand, but to the corrections officer also. But you know, sometimes you get a guy out and they might think, or they say, "Well, I'm not going to last long. You know, I'm just coming out here to see what it." And they're the ones that kind of fall in love with the farm. They're the ones that are up at the petting zoo, talking to the animals first thing in the morning while they're feeding them. Actually, you can, when you see the inmates watching some of the kids, because, you know, the kids are having a blast, and I think the inmates realize they're taking care of these animals for these people.
Right.
I mean, some of them are learning the responsibility for the first time.
Yeah, of caring for another being, which is very important. You know, it's interesting to, you know, you talk about that, the petting zoo, which is up front, and I give you full credit for that, you and the guys, because that was nothing that I had even thought about. You know, I hadn't dared to dream like that, and you know, I'm very blessed in the sense that many of the staff people that I have, and you've been there a lot longer than I have, really are so dedicated. That's one of the things I hear all the time about the farm, about the correction staff, how dedicated the program staff, how passionate people are about what they do. And I think the viewers looking and seeing your passion for the farm are going to share that. And if they haven't been to the farm, I can't imagine hearing you talk about it and not going to the Plymouth County Farm. But the petting zoo, tell the viewers something about that.
Well, it started way back when we had the old greenhouse. We had one small greenhouse, and I had a little area, and I thought, well, geez, it'd be pretty nice to have an animal out there. So I took a goat from the back pasture, brought him up, and I couldn't imagine, I couldn't even believe how many people would just come up to feed the goat. They wouldn't even come to see the flowers or anything else. They came up to see the goat. So when we moved over to our new area, and I had that expansion room, I said, this would be perfect. Geez, you know, we have like right now we have the two mini horses up there. We have 2 cows. We have a pig who just had 6 piglets. They're 3 weeks old.
And people can see those if they come to the farm?
Oh yeah, and it was amazing. I'm not on Facebook, but my wife is, but there was chatter on there about, the Plymouth County Farm, they just had piglets. And that's people were coming up because that's how they,
wow.
It's just amazing to me. And then we have a couple of, we have an alpaca up there, and we have, right now we have two female sheep, one's pregnant, and we also have a male up there. And we have chickens. We brought in, I think, 14 little chicks. They're getting bigger now. Now they're going outside and everything. But for the kids to see these animals, they don't see them. They don't see these things anymore.
And you see the plants growing, the kids?
They see the plants, and we also have a picnic area set up there. So a lot of times, and there's no reservations. It's first come, first serve. But people come right after school and have a birthday party for their kids or something. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, you've told me that story, and that was heartwarming and amusing at the same time, because think how far we've come from a farm that was practically closed, that our parents admonished us, we're going to send you to the county farm, to families actually coming and celebrating birthdays at the county farm.
Well, twice a year we have a spring festival and a fall festival, and that's actually, we have hay rides, and that's actually the time when the people can see the back of the farm.
Yeah.
For security reasons, nobody is allowed back there. But during that time, people can take the hayride. They can go out and see the pumpkin field. They can go out and see where the big horse pasture is. They see where the cows are kept down there. They see where the thoroughbreds are kept, and they see where the mini horses are. It's a nice time of year for those people.
And again, that's something that also I never envisioned or thought about was the festivals that you have in the spring and in the fall. Talk a little bit more about those. You do other things as well during that festival. You have the plant sales and whatnot. But
we have the plant sales. We do. We give out T-shirts to all the little kids. We also have fingerprinting. The deputies come over and do all the fingerprinting. This year, for the Spring Festival, we had a woodcutter. He had a chainsaw, and he made a beautiful little turtle. The turtle was so. Let me backtrack. We also had wildlife people there. They had some wild, some turtles and I think a big lizard and some snakes and things like that. Well, they put the turtle down on the ground that the gentleman carved, and the little kids are going and they're petting it.
Thinking it was a real turtle.
They thought it was a real turtle.
Wow! And he sculpted it with a chainsaw. He
sculpted it with a chainsaw.
Wow.
It was beautiful. And I think he did it, and his wife kind of painted it a little bit, but it was so realistic. But we have that. Then we have the hay rides, and then this year we had some birdhouse gourds that we grew last fall. We dried them out in the barn, and we had the kids painting them.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, it was normally I make the festivals in the spring and in the fall. This year I couldn't stay, so I didn't get to see a lot of that stuff. I had my nephew's first communion, but the feedback I got was tremendous. What a wonderful time people had, and the shows that you do with the naturalists, whether it's the rainforest reptiles or the birds of prey, it's educational for the kids and the parents too, and everyone really, really loves that. So it's what you guys have done with the county farm is really, it's a national model. I can't think of any other way to describe that, and I take no credit
Well, you
for it, except pointing you in the right, or making it possible for you to do that.
And that's the key. You know, we didn't have that. We didn't have that before. This really, it works out well.
Yeah. Well, I feel blessed to have you guys over there and making this really a tourist attraction. You know, who would have thought that we could have a correctional facility / tourist attraction?
Not me.
An educational tourist attraction at that. So it's it's really been so wonderful to see you guys do that. And the kids come over there, and when you do those tours, they get to see what goes on up back and where their food comes from. I know my own children. I have a 5-year-old and an 11-year-old. They're very fond of the farm as well. And when they go down there, it occurs to them to ask questions and to understand where it is. You don't just go to the supermarket and get the food. It's got to actually be grown someplace by somebody.
Right.
And they think about that, and that's it's really been a great experience for my own children even, and I love the thought of that. There's also going forward, it's my intention, and I'm sure yours as well, to make sure that the farm is going to be there for many, many years to come. And to that end, a few years ago, we all worked very hard with our local legislative delegation, with Senator Therese Murray, Representative Vinnie DiMacedo, really the whole group of the county officials, to put that land under conservation restriction to protect it. And we've done that, we've accomplished that, so the land is going to be protected in perpetuity as undeveloped land, which is wonderful. And there are also some historic buildings over there, but what do you see as the direction of the farm for the future? Where would you like to see it go?
I think right now we're headed in the right direction. I think that the biggest thing would be to, and we've talked about this at the meeting the other day, is just to restore some of the buildings.
Yeah.
The buildings are old. We haven't had not the money, but the time to put into it.
Yeah.
I think that would be huge. I'd love to restore the back to the way it was way back when. We have an area back in front of the old dairy that I saw a picture years and years ago. There was a fish pond up there. There was granite steps going up. It was designed by, I believe, is it Olmsted?
Oh, Frederick Law Olmsted.
He designed part of the farm, part of the area of the jail. He did part of that design work way back when.
I didn't know that. I'm hearing that for the first time.
Yeah, it was. So that was, and I remember seeing pictures of it, and it was just wow. So some of that stuff would be nice to restore back to the way it used to be.
Wow. Well, if you can find those pictures, certainly put them in a safe place, because we do want to use those going forward. I know you talk about the committee meeting, and that's something that people should know, that we do have a farm advisory committee. We meet with them on a regular basis, and they're concerned community activists who help us and come up with ideas and ways that we can preserve what we've got and actually improve it. And I know that they are very, very committed to seeing that it stays in its current state, but also its current use as a farm. It would, it's nice to know that it's protected in perpetuity as undeveloped, but the farm part is what is most important. And it's a gem. It really is a gem for the county. And we urge you, if you have not been to the farm, come on down and check it out on Oberry Street. Is there anything else that you would like to say, Ted, as we wind down the show? I mean, your passion for the farm is clear. Your passion for the farm is admirable, and I think one of those things that anybody who meets you knows that this is your farm. It's our farm, but really, you're the visionary who's done it. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. My whole career has been out on the farm. It's me.
Yeah. Well, I guess we sit there and we think about it, and it's great to. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to get put out to pasture, as they say, right? So,
yes.
Ted, I thank you really for everything you've done over there. I thank our viewers for watching this, and again, I urge you, if you haven't been to the farm, go check it out, see Ted, and see the wonderful things he's got going on over there. Thank you.
Thank you.